let's roll. Round 21 tipping. Let's see. I actually had a decent week last round, so I was happy with that. And so let's see if we could keep things up in this round. So we're going to start things off with Geelong and the GWS Giants GMHBA Stadium in Victoria. And this has all the makings of a very long Friday night for me and the rest of GWS supporters. But there's also a chance that we could see them make a little bit of a surprise. Maybe Toby Green gets his butt into gear and sees a lot better in his second game back from those couple of games that he missed due to all those, I guess, rules and standards that we have going on. And Geelong, if they get off to a slow start here, GWS might be able to punch them in the mouth. Who knows how this game can go, but I will tip Geelong.
I'm going to tip Geelong on this one. They're at home, and they always play really well at home. There's some rumors that Jeremy Cameron might be back.
Even worse.
I'm looking those up. I know I'm kind of keeping an eye on it, but I know one of the latest ones on at least the AFL.com says that he's been training really well. So there's a chance. There is a chance that good old Jeremy Cameron might be greeting his old side this weekend. I'm not going to hold my breath, but we'll have to see. But even if he doesn't, I just think the loss of Hopper, I think really hurts. I think Geelong's playing really well. They always play GMHBA. I'm gonna get that right. They always play it really well. It's a ground that really suits their style. I think Geelong just has just a tiny bit too much for the Giants in this one, so I will take the Cats in that game down at GMHBA.
And then the next game that we got going on is one where I might have tipped Gold Coast a few rounds ago, but if looking at recent stuff, there's no way I can. I got Carlton all the way in this one. Although the Suns might be able to put up a way better performance than they did in round 20, I still like Carlton in this one, but ultimately it depends on what Carlton we get. That's always a toss-up.
As a tipper, this game terrifies me because this is the game. As soon as I think I should have no problem tipping Carlton, this is the game that literally Carlton could literally have just the total brain fade, and Gold Coast beats them. So this is the one that terrifies me as a tipper because the way this season has gone, this is the game. I tip Carlton. I think Carlton's got more talent. Carlton played so much better last round. They've got a lot of momentum. This is the game for some weird reason. No matter what way I think, the tip is always wrong. It always goes the opposite way. I'm going to tip Carlton, but this is my keep an eye on game because Stewie Doo always sometimes pulls a trick out of his hat sometimes, so it wouldn't shock me. I'm going to tip Carlton, but I'm giving Gold Coast a sniff in this one.
That's a tough one, right? Ooh, I wonder if you'll like this tip, Donnie. Next game, going to the Saturday slate, Richmond and North Melbourne, even at the MCG. Give me the ruse. Give me the ruse to put the nail in the coffin for the Richmond Tigers. I just think that'd be the funniest damn thing ever. Twitter would explode, and I will be smiling the whole time if this goes down.
You ready for this?
Yes, please.
Same thing.
Oh, I love it.
I tip in the Roos. I love the way the Roos are playing. They played Geelong really tough. I'm just not that convinced that Richmond has turned the corner. I think Richmond played a good game, but they can't lose that game to Freo if they want to get into the finals. All due respect to Freo fans. I really love your team. That should have been a win by Richmond. They just did not play well. Again, the travel will be interesting to see how it goes. Yes, it's at the MCG, but the MCG has not been the happy hunting ground that it has been previously. I love what Noble is doing. I'm just feeling this one. I know this is probably the one that I completely whiff on. Richmond wins this by 40 at the pace it's going, but I'm gonna put my foot down on this one. I'm gonna tip the North Melbourne Roos on this one.
Oh, and that'd be a whole lot of fun. Got to stay off the Twitter for a couple days because that thing would turn into a bit of a cesspool from these Tig supporters. Oh boy, I hope we didn't offend them because we got a couple that watched. At least comment. I do love you guys, but it's always a little fun. I mean, come on, let's throw a little bit of shade. You guys won a couple flags. You guys could handle this, I think.
Tipping is not personal. Tipping
No,
is never personal.
just business.
It's fun. I
uh,
enjoy it. It just lets you have a little bit of fun with it.
oh, you bet. And now with this next game, we get the battle. I'm sorry. Is this the showdown?
The showdown. Yep.
Yes, you got that. I sometimes get the showdown, the derbies confused, but I got it on this one again. I learned from earlier in the season. But in the showdown, part 2 on the year, I got to tip Port Adelaide on this one. Unless Taylor Walker, which he does have the ability to, unless he kicks 6 goals, I don't really see Adelaide offense be able to do much against Port in this one.
I have Port and some good news that I'm reading. It sounds like there will be a crowd in Adelaide for this game.
Yes.
15,000 will be able to be at the showdown, which is absolutely awesome. This is one of the more underrated rivalries of the AFL. Maybe again, Victoria again kind of dominates a lot of the rivalries because of the history, but this is a heated rivalry. I'm gonna tip Port, but I'm giving Adelaide a sniff just because this rivalry always brings out the best. Rivalry games always bring out the best in your game. I think Adelaide will play a much tougher game than I think a lot of people expect. I'm going to tip Port, but I'm giving Adelaide a sniff in this one. Another one of those. It will not shock me if Adelaide pulls a screamer on this one.
I mean, Adelaide always has a chance to do that. They pull off these upsets at the most random times too, so you really never know in the game with them. And the St. Kilda Sydney game was one of these games where, 3 rounds ago, this was a way different tip and it's way harder for me. But given St. Kilda recently, they've been just almost collapsing. Sydney has been surging into the finals. I like Sydney, and I like them by a few goals in this one.
This is a tough one for me because the first game up in the SCG was so close.
Mm-hmm.
If Sydney kicks, if St. Kilda kicks straight, St. Kilda wins that game, which I think could potentially trajectory Sydney's season a tiny bit differently. I really wish I knew if Paddy Ryder was going to play, because Hickey didn't do too bad against the pair, but he only had to face Ryder the first time. Marshall will be playing in this one, so I'm very interested to see how Hickey handles that one. It will bring a little bit of a difference. I agree the Swans are playing really, really well right now. I think they've got just a tiny bit too much firepower, but this is another one of those terrifying games because this is a St. Kilda team that they need to win. They're going to come out absolutely on fire. Sydney, the last several games, has fallen behind early. Can they do it again? Will one time be too many of falling behind early and coming roaring back? Gonna tip the Swans. This one scares me a tiny bit, though.
Yeah, this could be a trap game. This is something that you definitely don't want to overlook if you are Sydney. And honestly, I think this next game is the hardest game for me to tip this round because we got Hawthorn and we got Collingwood, and both these teams could play really well and exceed expectations, but they also have the ability to play really poorly and to almost exceed expectations in the negative light. But especially the 2 games that these teams had last round, they're looking good going to this one. I'll take the Hawks, but purely because it's going to be up in Tassie. That's really the only thing I have to go off of here. It's a tough one to tip.
Yeah, the Tassie location does concern me a tiny bit, but I think Collingwood just has a tiny bit too much talent in the midfield where the Hawthorn is a little bit weaker. I'm liking Elliott and Myachek and Cox has kind of come in and hasn't played too badly. Cameron has really kind of embraced the secondary ruck role. I like how Carlton is playing. I think Harvey has really opened up their game. I know it's in Tassie, but I'm gonna tip the Pies on this one. I can't pinpoint the reason that I have this feeling that Collingwood, they don't go down to Tassie very often. So when they do, there are Collingwood. I think this one could be quite an interesting to see how the fan base turns out. Does Collingwood come out with a ton of Tassie Collingwood supporters that are just have not had the chance to see their team play on the island?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. This is one of those games that could actually end up being really good and maybe one of the better ones in the round. So I'm actually really looking forward to this game here. And now this next one, you get the Western Bulldogs and the Essendon Dons, and the Dons are essentially fighting for their finals lives at this point of the season. And I'm interested. I would love this game as a underdog tip. I think this is one of the better ones to do this round. Maybe depending on what the odds end up being for Fremantle and Brisbane, we could see there. I would love to tip Essendon. I just like the doggies style of play too much right now, especially coming off a huge offensive performance against Gold Coast. A lot of momentum going to this one. Essendon, though, just had a really good game against Sydney. This is a tough one to tip. I'm going to go with the doggies, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Essendon pulls this one off.
Tipping the doggies. This is a very intriguing. This is potentially match of the round again. Essendon again. Their high flying style. I think it matches. I think it matches up not too bad with the Western Bulldogs. Jake Stringer is playing lights out footy right now. I'm really interested to see what adjustments that Essendon will make when it comes to rotation issues that they had the last time, how they handle this doggies team and their run and gun style. It'll be a lot of fun to watch. I tip the doggies, but I agree with you. I like this as an upset tip for some weird reason. Essendon has that it factor this year that you never want to count them out.
Mm-hmm. And the next game, second to last one of the round, is going to be Fremantle and the Brisbane Lions. And then going back to kind of my looking and kind of previewing what the top 8 is going to look like. This was a pivotal game for the Dockers, and I think they're going to get it done against the Brisbane Lions. Being at Optus and with the Lions just hardly being able to put anything good together for long enough without Hipwood, I think the Fremantle could take advantage of this one, and this could be the game that might secure their spot in the finals.
I'm with you. I have Freo. Optus Stadium has been really, really good to Freo this year. They've played really, really well. They have another team that a lot of people are going to go. You're probably not going to win this game. You're probably, and they just play better when they have this underdog role. Brayshaw and Sarong have played really, really well. Same with Chera. Luke Ryan was an absolute stud in the back for Freo. I like Taberner playing well. It stinks that they don't have Lob. I think Lob would really, really come in handy this week with an undersized defensive line, but we'll really have to see. But I'm feeling Freo on this one. I really am.
Yeah. Oh boy, Freo fans, we got some positivity for you. Hopefully, it's not false hope. And then the last game of the round is also going to be at Optus. Optus is going to be busy the last couple days. The West Coast Eagles and the Melbourne Demons. And this game could very well be the nail in the coffin for West Coast, especially. I think there's a very good chance that they just get manhandled in this one, just ran over by this Melbourne Demons team. It could be a close game if West Coast pulls it off, but if not, it could be very ugly and could get ugly very, very quickly in this one. I'm going Demons all the way.
I'm going to tip the Demons, and the funny thing is for Freo fans, I'm very interested to see what they think about this, because if this does happen, if Melbourne wins this game, it does literally give Freo the chance to end their streak of losing to the West Coast Eagles. Not only if they win that one, but ending that streak, but also potentially ending the chances of the Eagles going to the finals. So this is absolutely critical. West Coast does not drop this, but the way Melbourne played, they have a ton of confidence. Yes, they're going cross-stent. Yes, they lose Viney due to the ugly incident that happened at the tribunal. He's out for 2 weeks. But Melbourne they've just been able to, every time they've had a loss, they've been able to absorb it and actually progress from it. I'm going to tip the D's in this one, but this is always the one that scares me, because Perth, West Coast at home, there's always something different the way they play. And Melbourne, Optus has been a little bit of a boogie place for them. They've not played well in this new Optus Stadium since it's opened. We'll have to see. I'm tipping the D's, but as a tipper, I'm a little worried on this one, because this one I'm just not sure what Eagles team is going to show up in this one.
honestly, it's bad to be a tipper this round. Bad to be a tipper this season. At least with half of these games, it's a toss-up almost. It's almost close to a coin flip, but I guess that's what makes it fun. Either we look great with these tips, or we just look awful. It's boom or bust. But that's where a lot of the fun comes in.